Welcome back. I'm Jackie. Okay, so tonight Shawn and I went to an NA meeting. It's the first meeting I've been to in a very long time. And it brought up, actually, I've told myself for a long time that I didn't like going to NA meetings because it always made me feel like I was going to, I wanted to use more than I wanted to stay clean. When I first got clean, I went to NA meetings all the time. They say go every day for 30 days. That's what I did. And I blamed NA for me not staying clean. But in reality, it was just me not being ready to get clean. When an addict is living a life of destruction and living an active addiction, we'll do whatever we have to blame everything else around us besides saying, I'm just not ready to get clean yet. So I think that's what happened with my view on NA. I know NA helps a lot of people. And I don't know. I actually really enjoyed it tonight. I do remember it brought back a lot of memories, a lot of flashbacks. I went to a lot of NA meetings in all of my rehabs because that's just part of the program. And it does give you a sense of community. It gives you a sense of somewhere to belong. For me, it always opened up the door for talking more about drugs than talking about recovery. But I think that was because I wasn't ready for recovery. And I realize that now. I identify as an addict. I tell you guys all the time, I'm a recovering addict. I do that for a couple reasons. The first reason is just to acknowledge to other people that it's okay. Addiction's okay to talk about. It's okay to be an addict. It's not okay to continue feeding your addiction, especially at the cost of yourself and others. But it's okay to be an addict. It's okay to talk about addiction, which is what I'm trying to share on this page in the first place. Make people not feel on the outskirts of something. As an addict struggling, you always kind of feel like you're on the outskirts of something. At least I did. I always felt like I was on the outskirts because I knew I didn't really want to be doing what I was doing, but I was still doing it. So I was like very out of place and lost and misplaced, I guess. I don't know. I got deep for a second. The second reason is because I want to stay aware. I want to make sure that I am staying consciously aware of the fact that I have the disease of addiction, not just to drugs and alcohol. I don't do drugs and alcohol anymore, but I can very easily get addicted to something else. And my addiction, anyone's addiction, in my opinion, is always kind of sitting in the background waiting for its chance to shine. I say that in the way that, when life happens and you have something crazy happen in your life, but you're in recovery or you've been clean for a little while and something crazy happens in your life and it's very emotional, like the death of a loved one or the loss of a job or a sudden move or something kind of extreme. Your addiction, I feel like my addiction would be sitting in the back like, oh, okay, sweet. This is where we shine. This is where we come into play. This is where she gives up. This is where she gives in. This is where it gets to be too much. And it's our time to jump in and we get to thrive. And that's kind of the way that I see my addiction. Always there, right? So let's say this is my addiction and it was overpowering me and my willpower. Like it may have started like this. I was bigger. This is a really weird representation, but it makes sense in my brain, so I'm going to share it with you. Like this is me, like fully great and well, and this is my addiction, maybe like laying in the back, like genetically dispositioned to addiction, right? And I feed it. It starts to grow, and so it starts to grow and starts to grow. At some point, it becomes the same size as me, and then at some point, it starts to get bigger than me, and I get smaller and smaller, and my addiction just kind of swallows me whole. Right? That's what happened to me. I feel like if you are a struggling addict, that makes sense to you. And as you come out of that black hole, that rock bottom, your addiction, you kind of separate from your addiction, although it's still there, and it kind of shrinks and you get bigger again. As you start to go through recovery and your addiction gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, but it never disappears. It just never fully goes away. It just kind of sits in the background. And I call myself an addict because I want to always fully stay aware that this addiction is back here. If I can stay aware of it, if I can pinpoint what it's like whenever it starts to show up, impulsivity, obsession, compulsion. I don't ever want to underestimate it or give it the chance to come back and get bigger than me again. And I don't want to say that I'm scared of my addiction coming back, because that's not the truth. I just stay conscious of it. The more that I'm conscious of it, the more that I'm aware of my thought patterns, the more that I'm aware of my actions, my behaviors, the more I'm aware of my emotions and how they take a hold or how I react to them. I don't ever want to give my addiction the chance to come back and surprise me. Like if I said I wasn't an addict anymore, I just feel like that would be giving a little room, a little leeway for my addiction to crawl back in. And I am sure not doing that. I am not going to do that. And I find for me, helping another addict and sharing my story, and actually going to the NA meeting tonight was really enlightening for me. Me not sharing the message with people as often as I can feels kind of selfish, especially because here I am 4.5 years clean, and I never even thought I would see 1 year. I never thought I would see 1 year. I looked at 1 year as literally an impossible thing for me. So I wrote myself off long before I actually gave myself a chance. So if you're out there and you're struggling and you have written yourself off, just know that you still have a chance. You can get better. You can get well. You do have to do the work. You do have to change a lot of things about your life. But it's doable. It's worth it. And that's me. That's my side of why I identify as an addict. I actually did a little interview with Shawn, I guess. I don't know. And I asked him to kind of explain his side of things and why he introduces himself the way that he does. He realized while we were sitting there that he had a lot to say. So in a second, I'm going to introduce Shawn to you. And I'm excited for that because this is kind of our thing. This is our topic of discussion. And we're actually going to go back to the NA meeting next Friday night too. So maybe Friday nights I'll give you guys an update. I don't know. I'm figuring this YouTube thing out. But I'm glad you're here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit subscribe so you get notified anytime we upload a new video. And if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, drop it in the comments below. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your night.
Are we live?
We're not. We don't go live. It's just wow, you look short.
We're just gonna record it and then you're gonna edit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Hi.
YouTube channel. Here's
I'm
Shawn.
Shawn.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody has a little bit of a different opinion, or like different ways that they introduce themselves, I guess.
Yeah.
Even being an addict, I call myself a recovering addict. But Shawn says something different, and I'm just curious for him to give you his opinion on why he says what he says. What do you introduce yourself as, babe?
When I go to meetings, I identify myself as clean. Hi, I'm Shawn. I'm clean. Firmly believe that you will speak something into existence if you speak it long enough.
Are you an addict?
I am an addict. I am. I do believe that God delivered me from a life of addiction. There's no doubt about that. There's no other way I could have ever got out of it. I couldn't have got out of it on my own. You know what I mean? I still to this day don't talk a whole lot about...
Until I make him.
Yeah, about being an addict. I don't know. I identify as clean. I think a lot of people find it disrespectful in a meeting that I come and say, hi, I'm Shawn, I'm clean. It's just the way, you know, I've worked my program, I've worked all my steps.
Well, what do you think whenever I say, you know, I'm a recovering addict?
I've heard her say it. I hear a lot of other people say it. They're like, well, I identify as an addict so I don't forget where I came from. Trust and believe. There's not a day that goes by in my life that I can ever forget where I came from. Some people say, well, you can't say that as an addict. Well, if I try a 16th as hard to stay clean as I did getting high, I can stay clean. I can stay in recovery, and I can feed my recovery on a daily basis. Okay, that's what we got.
Okay. Thank you.
Peace, love, and good vibes.